I thought it was just a matter of basically doing your duty, really. You know, Jay's Tonight Show was over, Conan's was starting, and they wanted to try 10 o'clock show for whatever reasons they wanted to. Nobody was asking my opinion. To me, it was okay. You have to write new music for the theme and some new bits that we're trying to differentiate between the 10:30 Tonight Show and the 10 o'clock Jay Leno Show. So I had minor things like that to do, but basically my day didn't change. It was the same, traffic on the 101. It was the same call time. It was the same this. It was the same that. So I was just concentrated on doing the gig, and keeping everybody in my department focused on the job we had to do, and all the stuff about Jay and Conan and blah blah, and this person did this and this person said that and all that. And I was like, you know what? That has nothing. Ultimately, it may have something to do with us, but today, doing your work, it has nothing to do with us. Did anybody ask your opinion of, what you think should happen? Just forget it. Let's just go in and do a good job. Of course, you weren't apathetic to the vibe, that was there. Everybody was freaked out, and it's, 10 o'clock will never work, and the whole thing. And it's tough to go into a show, like that when basically you're written up as a failure before you start, and it just started to dawn on us that this is just completely out of our control. So the best thing we can do is to just give as good a show as we can and just be as enthusiastic as ever and just do a good job of what's in front of us and just go on. And I just kind of stuck with that, because if you get caught up in the other thing, it was just so much going on and rumors here and rumors there and all that. So for me, it was a chance to write some new music, which was cool. And it didn't result in me getting home any earlier. I still got caught in rush hour traffic and the whole thing. I just felt bad for Jay because he had to deal with all of this stuff. And so I was trying to be a little bit more sensitive to what he had to deal with, because it was just a lot. So I was just being a little bit more, maybe a little bit more considerate in terms of how he was feeling that day, and just kind of just be ready to ease up a little bit, or to because I had it's a new show. Oh, how about this idea? How about that idea? And I thought I could contribute. We should try this or try that. I was excited to, and then I realized that just nobody's, we don't want your version of the new Jay Leno Show. We just, can just do what you do. And at first I was a little upset about that, and then I just saw the pressure he was under. I said, just back up, man. Just do your job. I wanted to do it, I thought it would be an opportunity to try some new things and all that, so I was up for it. And by and large, it wasn't that much of a difference in my daily routine. It really wasn't. It was kind of the same thing, and it was just if the show was going to work at 10 o'clock, and all the signs were pointing to, like, well, why are we even bothering? Because we're written off as it's not going to work before we even start. So now I just, you go in and do your job, and that was a good thing to hang on to, because it was. Everything else was just smoke and mirrors anyway. It was just, an article here, this and that, and blah, blah. And people were calling, what do you think about this? And, I just was really quiet about it, because, clearly what was going on was at a level that had nothing to do with me. So I said, I'm here to still do this job, so we just really tried to concentrate on that. Everybody was trying to find the right formula that could work at 10 o'clock. So, let's try this way, let's try this way, let's try that, let's try that. Everything was just a little, compressed, because, people were maybe thinking, well, we don't have that long to solve this riddle, so let's try this and try that. But after a while, you start to feel this tension instead of as like some, excitement. and fun of trying to do it, you know, like we normally would. So it was like you had a time limit, but it was no direct time. It wasn't a quote or anything, but you just had that feeling that, you know, we better get this right now, you know. And so that turned into more stress and more tension. And of course, it's difficult to make the right decisions when you have that kind of stress on you and that kind of time frame on you. So, you know, all that was, you know, bogged down into that. And, you know, and it was a good thing that we've been working together, you know, the core group of the show had been working together for so long, because then you could kind of weather some of that storm. And this, you know, felt like it was just under a lot of scrutiny, and because we hadn't felt that in so long. I mean, we had felt it early on and at different stages or something like that, but this was clearly something was going on, and, you know, it was, you could feel it. And just, I don't know if it was so much of an actual physical presence, but you knew something was happening, you know, and you couldn't help but read about it. And I tried to stay away from reading so much about it and things like that, but you couldn't help it at the time, you know, wherever you went, or you turn on TV, or, you know, on the internet or whatever, you know, and then you start, you know, you see things, you know, you see Zucker's name and Conan's name and Jay, and the same thing. He's like, don't read it, don't, ooh, wow, really? You know, and then you go back to work, why did you read that? Now you're like, Jay, I gotta ask you something. I read that, you know, and that's the last thing you want to do, you know? So I try to keep it to myself, you know, and then every now I would say, Jay, everything he said, you know, we do our show, you know, you do what you do, you know, and, you know, just do what you know, and because he's trying to keep every, you know, but I could, you know, I could see that the pressure was just slowly just descending upon the show and the whole thing. So it got to be, you know, everybody could feel it.